The myth of the Flying African is one of the oldest and most powerful African-American folktales ever told. There are many variations of the story told in narratives by enslaved Africans and their descendants through the centuries, all centering around the notion of Black people who suddenly and miraculously left. By literal flight, by drowning, by vanishing, or by the power of their own mind, they were gone and became spirits of wind after uttering an incantation. This incantation has been passed down from storyteller to storyteller, and it is called Kumbubayali Kumbubatambe, Kumkonkuyali Kumkonkutambe. Those words, or a variation of them, have been uttered in connection with the myth of the Flying African in some form. In the opening dedication to Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon, it says, "The fathers may soar, and the children may know their names." The power of flight is like a double-edged blade. On one hand, it's thought of as a metaphor for unburdening oneself of enslavement and never letting one's mind be chained down ever again. To fly without having your feet leave the ground. And only a person with an indomitable will, someone who will not be subjugated or held down by the weight of the world, can unlock this specific ability. On the other side of the coin, flight is talked of as literal. Some accounts depict that people truly witness the most powerful people on the plantations take off into the sky, flying back home towards Africa or to another place in time, far from the white man's world, where those with knowledge outside of Western empiricism were shunned, maligned, or silenced. There are so many variants of the myth that it's hard to pinpoint where the Flying African mythology begins and ends. In Drums and Shadows, Survival Studies Among the Georgia Coastal Negroes, different accounts from people who'd heard about Africans born with the gift of flight fill its pages, such as George W. Little, a root doctor from an all-Black community in Savannah in the 1940s. Other strange things are happening too. Take the story of those people that flew back to Africa. That's all true. You just have to possess magic knowledge to be able to accomplish this. Not long ago, I saw a man vanish into thin air by snapping his fingers. But where do these spell words, Kumbubayali, come from? And what do they mean? Prior to the age of scholarship on the matter, this was only known or half known by specific people who'd witnessed the secret in some form or knew someone who'd witnessed the secret. And eventually, the words themselves ceased to have specific meaning outside of what the Flying African was trying to summon who'd uttered them all those years ago. The words Kumbubayali Kumbubatambe have several meanings depending on who was being questioned. A longer transcription of this incantation comes from the mouth of Tony William Delagal, a resident of Ogeechee Town, and a former slave who was over 100 years old. His account of Kumbubayali is hidden within a much longer song drawn from African origin, something he would have secretly learned on the plantation of his former master, Major John Thomas. Wakumkumuni kumbubayano, lailai tambe, ashibunganomo, shiwaligo, ashikwang, kumbabayano, lailai tambe, ashilailai, shiwaligo, tuhun. Prince Sneed, a Black resident of White Bluff, highlighted this song and its African meanings from the stories his grandfather told him. My grandfather said that old man Wahlberg down on St. Catherine owned some slaves that weren't climatized, and he worked them hard. And one day they were hoeing in the field, and the driver came out, and two of them were under a tree in the shade, and the hoes were working by themselves. The driver said, "What's this?" And they said, Kumbubayali, kumbubatambe, kumkunkayali, kumkunkatambe, quick like. Then they rise off the ground and flew away. Nobody ever saw them anymore. Some say they flew back to Africa. My grandfather saw that with his own eye. In Song of Solomon, the character of Milkman hears a song being sung by children, an ancestral song learned through the years about their great ancestor Solomon, the flying African who escaped bondage and flew off to the mother continent. Jake, the only son of Solomon, Kambubayale, Kambubatambe, whirled about and touched the sun, Kamkonkayale, Kamkonkatambe, left that baby in a white man's house, Kambubayale, Kambubatambe. Hedi took him to a red man's house, Kamkonkayale, Kamkonkatambe. Black lady fell down on the ground, Kambubayale, Kambubatambe, threw her body all around, Kamkonkayale, Kamkonkatambe. Solomon and Rina Belali Shalut, Yoruba, Medina, Muhammad II, Nesta, Kalina, Saraka Cake, 21 children, the last one Jake. Oh Solomon, don't leave me here, cotton balls to choke me. Oh Solomon, don't leave me here, Buckra's arms to yoke me. Solomon done fly, Solomon done gone, Solomon cut across the sky, Solomon gone home. But what does Kumbubayale, Kumbubatambe, Kumkonkuyale, Kumkonkutambe truly mean? In the book, The Bantu-Speaking Heritage of the United States, the original meaning of the incantation is deciphered as a proverb of the Luba people of West Central Africa. Ku mbubayandi, ku mbubantambe, ku nkonkuyandi, ku nkonkunutambe. And roughly translated, it means, he is tricky, so I will win by being tricky too. He asks clever questions, so I will win by using clever questions too. History and folklore commingle to teach us the power of African flight as metaphysical technology, as a psychic shield, and as a secret that needs protecting. To overcome the dominance of white supremacy, to overcome the dehumanizing, debased violence of oppression and enslavement, requires physical will to run away and seek new ground and new life for oneself, but it also teaches us that it takes a sound mind, one that does not abandon the gifts of the spiritual world, but lets them live within your physical form, your temple. To fly is to be free, but what is freedom if you don't bring someone along with you? They say the people could fly. Say that long ago in Africa, some of the people knew magic, and they could walk up on the air like climbing up on a gate, and they flew like blackbirds over the fields, black, shiny wings flapping against the blue up there. Then, many of the people were captured for slavery. The ones that could fly shed their wings. They couldn't take their wings across the water on the slave ships. The folks were full of misery then, got sick with the up and down of the sea, so they forgot about flying when they could no longer breathe the sweet scent of Africa. Say the people who could fly kept their power, although they shed their wings. They kept their secret magic in the land of slavery. This is Flying Home, Harlem Heroes and Heroines by Faith Ringgold, a celebrated visual and performance artist. As a child growing up in New York City, I'd seen this mural at the 125th Street station in Harlem all the time, and I didn't know what I was witnessing. The depiction of Black artists and cultural figures such as Duke Ellington and Zora Neale Hurston, people whose work took shape in Harlem as people with the ability to fly, speaks intimately to the foundation of the not-so-distant enslaved past, as a place where the power of flying over and away from things which seek to destroy you is a valued power given to us by our ancestors. The words of the ancestors and the words of the practitioners of the ancestral arts ring very true today from the past. The black people on the coast of southeastern United States, especially those in states that were hotbeds of diverse African folkways from the pre-revolutionary period all the way up through Reconstruction, were essentially the builders of a vast spiritual network of knowledge that laid the foundation for black folkloric thought and culture in the modern era, including our innate ability to fly, something we see repeated over and over again.
Game that has evidently come from Africa. Dr. Herskovitz says that he saw the background of it in West Africa, of the crow. The crow in some ways seems to be sacred in Africa. But what they're talking about is what we know in United States as a buzzard. And the buzzard comes to get something to eat, and they are talking about it, and they dance it. And one person gets in the center and imitates the buzzard. And they say, and the rest of them form the background. Oh, mama, come see that crow, see how he flies. Oh, mama, come see that crow, see how he flies. This crow, gonna fly tonight. See how he flies. This crow, gonna fly tonight. See how he flies. Oh, mama, come see that crow, see how he flies. Oh, mama, come see that crow, see how he flies. This crow, gonna fly tonight. See how he flies. This crow, gonna fly tonight. See how he flies. Oh, mama, come see that crow. Ah! Oh, mama, come see that crow. Ah! Oh, mama, come see that crow. See how.
The importance of crows and other birds in black folklore, poetry, and art cannot be overstated. And each reading I've done of a bird-related folktale or anything regarding wings and the power of flight has reminded me in some way of the flying Africans. Whether it's Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, borrowed from Paul Laurence Dunbar's poem, or the poem An Hymn to the Morning by Phyllis Wheatley. Attend my lays, ye ever-honored nine. Assist my labors and by strains refine. In smoothest numbers pour the notes along, for bright Aurora now demands my song. Aurora hail, and all the thousand dyes which deck thy progress through the vaulted skies. The morn awakes, and wide extends her rays. On every leaf the gentle zephyr plays. Harmonious lays the feathered race resume. Dart the bright eye, and shake the painted plume. Sometimes the power of African flight speaks through the culture in other forms too. Through the famous gospel and contemporary R&B hit, I Believe I Can Fly, through the awe of Michael Jordan's celebrated air-defying athletic prowess, or through other paths in history where flight from oppression and flight through achievement was not done through the sky, but through the water. Igbo Landing is a site at Dunbar Creek on St. Simon's Island, Georgia. St. Simon's Island is one of the many barrier islands along the southeastern United States that have been home to communities of gullah-geechee speaking African Americans for centuries. The well-known story goes that in 1803, the capture and enslavement of Igbo people from their homeland ended in a single march of resistance. The events that transpired differ from source to source, but what is universally accepted is that some 75 Igbo people somehow took control of their fate aboard the vessel, and once it landed, they marched in chains back into the waters of the creek, chanting in Igbo, "The water brought us, the water will take us away." This event catapulted into a number of folktales told and retold by people who witnessed the event or were survivors of it. Some former enslaved people saying that the Igbo walked across the water, turned into birds, and flew away, and others saying that the Igbo did not fly from capture, but drowned instead, rebelliously, heroically, and full of grace. Whether you believe they flew or not, and who is to say they didn't since none of us were there, and the dead keep their secrets for a reason, it doesn't matter. The importance of the flying Africans is echoed through our history as a way of resistance through spiritual elevation, through walking into a more victorious state of being, with wings made of feathers or wings made of faith. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This has been another edition of the African-American Folklore series. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you'll know when new content arrives. And always remember to stay magical. Peace, beloveds.